What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Moosey Game here, and today I'm here with a pre-KvK game guide for Rise of Kingdoms. Now, this is a video specifically for those who have played the game for a couple days, couple weeks, perhaps, and are looking for detailed guidance to basically make the most efficient progression within the game. And for those of you who are just starting off the game, there is a complete beginner guide that I made a couple months back that I recommend you watch first before watching this video, because that goes over like whether or not this is even the right game for you and how the gameplay looks and all that. So it might be a good idea for you to actually watch that before you watch this video completely. Now, the reason why I'm doing this guide is simple. For one, there's a lot of things that I've learned from playing this account, my new max level newbie account. This is actually my restart account that I started only 25 days ago. That hey, if I didn't do this and that, I would have spent a ton more money, a ton more resources, a ton more time for me to actually get to where I am right now. Not to say that I am very powerful in this current account right now, but I was a very big whale when I first started off the game and I just went and spending and spending. But then again, my power level was not really nearly as powerful as I should have been if I knew what I was doing back then. So this is a guide for those of you who are not spending, who are spending a little bit, or spending basically, if you're not a mega whale, this is a very good guide for you. And if you're a mega whale, it might not be a terrible idea for you to take a look at it, because there are very few resources that are in Rise of Kingdoms that you can just buy with money. Some things like gold heads and stuff. There is a limitation on what you can get, regardless of how much money that you pour into the game. So it might be a very helpful guide for everyone who's watching this video who are just starting off the game. All right, with that said, let's just start from building and research priorities. So when you first start off the game, there's a lot of things that you're doing, and you just click and click and click, and you basically try to make as much progress as possible. And building priority is simple. You just gotta basically do all the prerequisites that are required for you to upgrade your city hall to the next level. And that would allow you to actually unlock all the other buildings that would actually be able to catch up to the level of city hall at the end of the day, right? But there's a couple other tricks that I do want to point out to you that are very, very crucial for the game. One thing is the level of Alliance Center. Now, Alliance Center, what this does is this actually allows you to receive help, and also this allows you to help others that are in the same alliances as you. So what help does, it actually reduces the time it takes for you to go through some crucial things like research speeds and building speeds and whatnot. And those helps really, really help. I think they go up to 15 minutes building timeline down or something like that. And it kind of scales as you the more expensive and the longer it's supposed to take with the entire the building upgrades and research upgrades and whatnot. The more the longer the time it requires for you to do these, the better the help's efficiency is for you. So upgrading this Alliance Center to be on par with your City Hall level is crucial, because that would allow you to save up a lot of your research and building speed ups at the end of the day. And that just stacks up one after another over time. And this could tremendously help you in terms of how you can power up efficiently. The next thing that I do want to point out is the Research Center. So the Research Center is, or Academy. Academy is the reason why you should actually level up your Academy as soon as possible is simple, because it provides you research speed bonus. Now, there's not that many places that you can get one of those in terms of research speed bonus, and it is just going to make your efficiency just go through the roof. You can see that from level 20 to 21, you're getting 2% extra research speed bonus, right? So that is a huge percentage. In fact, as a matter of fact, this is almost as high of a jump as you switching your civilization to Korea. Because if you actually change your civilization to Korea, let's just go ahead and try right here. it only gives you 3% extra research speed, and this costs you what, 10,000 gems. So yeah, it might be just a good idea for you in general for you to max out your research academy building as much as possible, as soon as possible, is my next suggestion when you're prioritizing your building, aside from making sure that you're hitting your prerequisites for you to max level your city hall. Now, in terms of general rule of thumb, if you have watched my previous complete beginner guide that I provided to you from the link down below, you should be starting off your civilization as China because it does provide you 5% building speed. But then again, once you reach City Hall level 25, you can actually switch your civilization to Korea, as I said before, for you to actually maximize your research speed up to the maximum level that you can possibly have for the max efficiency. Now, the 3% that you see here might not sound like a lot, but then again, there are researches that goes on for days and days and days. I mean, like without any speed ups and helps and stuff, some of them actually goes up to like, I don't know, 100 plus days. So having that extra 3% research speed ups could potentially save you 3 days per each of those crazy researches at the end of the day. So leveling up your city hall and changing your civilization to Korea is not a terrible idea at the end of the day if you want to maximize your efficiency for your account's progress and gain power faster. Now, with all that said, let's just go ahead and go into a more in-depth kind of research guide as well. When you actually open up your research, there's two different sections to this. One is economy, one is military. What I would actually recommend you do is you should prioritize, and you should always prioritize getting the researches speed up to the maximum as soon as possible. The reason for this is because all the other researches efficiency depend on how quickly you can actually get all those research speed ups to maximum, right? So let's just go ahead and take a look at these again. This writing, which is very earlier in the tree, it is very easy for you to get this. And you can actually maximize it very early on in the game. This provides you 10% research speed ups. Now, imagine that you have a research that takes you 110 days eventually when you get to the end of the game, right? That will be basically 10 days that you're saving up. Same goes with this one right here, mathematics. Mathematics will also give you extra 15%. 15% is huge. And like, unless you actually maximize the academy to level 25, there's nowhere else that you can actually get all those level of speed ups for research outside of doing the research speed ups first. So I'll recommend that you prioritize these researches first for that reason. And also on top of that, my next suggestion was going to be you maximize your building speed ups thereafter. But then again, all those building speed up researches are also going to be impacted by what level that your mathematics and writings are, because those themselves are also researches, right? So what I do recommend for you is that you maximize your research speed ups, number one. Make sure your academy is up to speed as much as possible, and then make sure your writings and mathematics at the max level possible. As you can see, I have that set up for this account right now, and that is basically good to go. Now, from there onward, you should then try to maximize your building speed up researches as soon as possible, right? Because if you look at those right here, this gives you 15% building speed ups. And this gives you like what? I think at max, this also gives you 35% like research speed ups. What? This is crazy. Then again, if I wanted to get this next speed ups done, like this right here upgrade, this is 10 days and 1 hour and 30 minutes, right? That it's going to take. Like if I didn't have any of those speed ups right here, like masonry and then also engineering, this could have taken up like 13 days, 14 days, like easy. So focusing on your building speed ups as much as possible is basically my next recommendation for you to max power up as soon as possible, because that would directly impact how much speed ups that you can save for your account. Now, with that said, though, having the researches done on the mathematics and writings done, you can technically still unlock T4 units before you max buildings like I did right here. The reason for this is simple. Building speedups like this I did. And the reason for this is simple. For one, it will allow you to basically stack up T4 units as much as possible. And getting the T4 units stacking up earlier on will really help you when you actually enter KvK number 1, because that's basically going to be what everyone's going to be using on KvK number 1, like, period. Like, a lot of people might actually have T5 units. Not a lot of people, but few people would actually have T5 units in your KvK. But even in Season of Conquest, like, there's a lot of people who are still using T4s. The marginal difference between T4 and T5 troops as units are not as big as people might imagine. So, I mean, there's difference, but it's not as big of a difference. And then those T4 units are actually very efficient in terms of research speedups, as well as hospital bill. Like, if you want to actually recover, heal up some of your troops that are T4 units, it is significantly cheaper for you to heal up your T4 units than T5 units, right? As a matter of fact, for this account, specifically, because I'm not planning on whaling on this account, I'm going to actually try to maximize one troop type's maximum stats over here, and I'm not even going to look to unlock T5 for this account ever, because, like, I'm not going to try to unlock T5 and spend like thousands and thousands of dollars and unlock T5 before like KvK1 and KvK2 starts. No, I'm going to wait, and I'm gonna actually just try to be as efficient as possible, and then max tech T4. If you can actually get all those levels of attacks and defenses, and then health and stuff, like if you get all those tech maxed out, your marginal difference in power between T4 units and T5 units are very minimal in this game. So I would say, yeah, you can still unlock T4s before you finish your building speedups first. It's really based on preference. If you want to just get done with all the buildings as soon as possible, you can actually focus on engineering first. But for me, I personally like to stack up T4s as early as possible. I'm 25 days into the game, and this Kingdom's Age is like, I think, like 15 days. So I'm trying to see if I can stack up T4 units as much as possible, just so that I can actually fight in my first KvK with T4 units. Again, both are very efficient ways. I think if I have to choose, I'll actually suggest that you do maximize the building speed up so that there's less areas for you to screw up. But I played this game for over 1100 days. I think I know a little bit better what I'm doing. So general rule of thumb, just max out your building speedups after you do the research speedups and then unlock T4. But if you know what you're doing, you can unlock T4 earlier on, especially for that one troop that you end up maining at the end of the day. So yeah, that's basically that. That's basically everything that you need to know about building and research priority. And let's talk about the importance of alliance. Now, when you get into the game, and I talk a little bit about this in my complete beginner guide at the end of the day, but then again, one of the most important thing that you can do is joining the top alliance that you can possibly find and that you can possibly get in your server, or in the server that you end up, sleeping into, like using the sleeper method to migrate into and all that. Like, join the best alliance ever, because the difference in what you're going to get from the alliance is going to be tremendously different. Just first things first, if you actually join the top alliance, most likely you'll get all those holy sites that will actually give you first occupation bonus. And let's see if I can find some for the first occupation bonus. Yeah. If you capture a pass for the first time, our allies occupy this level 1 pass for the first time. It gives you 500 minutes of speed ups, 1 territorial teleport, and 1,000 gems. All of those are crazy, crazy rewards. So holy site and pass rewards are going to be crazy for you to get if you join the top alliance for once. And then 2, there's also those crazy alliance chests that you'll be able to get from people who are in your alliance spending on other purchases that are in the game. Like, even if you're not whaling, if you're in the top alliances, you can actually get a lot of progress done by just claiming those alliance chests. And let's just actually open some of them to just find out how good they are. You can see that some of our alliance members actually has spent a lot of money, I must say. But like, look at this. We just got 600 minutes of speed ups just from one of those gold chests. And then 8 hours of speed up is basically 480 minutes. I just got 1,000 minutes of speed ups just right there. Just from the fact that our alliance members have spent money on this game. And the higher, better alliance that you go, the better rewards that you'll get every single day from these alliance chests. So just make sure that you join one of those best alliances, because that would actually change your progress level as much as possible. So just wanted to kind of point out, as I saw some gold chests actually drop in the notification in the game. This was actually not planned part of the video, but again, just wanted to highlight how important it is for you to actually join one of the best alliances in your kingdom, because they'll help you progress a lot faster in the game. All right, so now let's talk about gem management and efficient packages. So in Rise of Kingdoms, as you play the game, you'll be getting this premium currency called gems, which you can get from achievements, purchases. You can see that if you spend some money, you'll be able to get gems. All those other packages, or most of the packages that you actually purchase, will have some gems included in them along with the main product that they're actually selling. And then you can also get gems from, like you just saw, from your alliance chests. There's many different ways that you can get gems. And I think if you kill barbarians, you can see that you get gems here as well. And what else? Oh, and if you're committed, you can also farm gems from gem nodes that are around the server as well. And if I can find one, yeah, there's one of those. So you can actually send a march there and then farm up to gem nodes. But enough about how you can get gems. But management of this gem currency is the single most important thing that can impact your progress speed in this game. Now, unless you're a mega whale, every single gem that you have, or let's just be very generous, 98% of the gems that you actually have and acquire should be used on VIP points until you reach VIP level 10, 12, and 14. Now, the reason why I'm actually suggesting that is simple. For one, from VIP 9 and below, you actually only get commander sculptures. From daily exclusive chests, you only get commander sculptures that are worse than legendary commander sculpture. You can see that level 9 gives you epic commander sculpture, 2 epic commander sculptures. If you go to level 8, it only gives you 1. If you go to 7, it still gives you 1. 6 gives you you see what I mean, right? Elite commander sculpture. So once you hit VIP level 10, you actually start getting legendary commander sculptures. And you start getting 1 from VIP 10. VIP 11, you get another 1, but then you can get a little more extra rewards over here. And then once you hit level 2, you get 2 legendary commander sculptures per day. every single day. VIP 13 is also 2. VIP 14 is actually 3. So the reason why this is actually very important is simple. For one, each of those legendary commander sculpture has a gem value of 2,000. 2,000 gems. So the difference between VIP 9 player and then VIP 10 player, if I were to simplify this, is 2,000 gems per every single day. And then difference between VIP 10 to 12 is another 2,000. VIP 12 to 14 is another 2,000. The difference between VIP 9 player and VIP 14 player in terms of gem value that you're getting every single day, and this is every single day, is 6,000 gem value. And that is crazy. And there's no other way that you can actually get this legendary commander sculpture. There's ways, but then again, there's no better way for you to get this legendary commander sculpture than your daily exclusive VIP chest. So make sure that you reach VIP 10, VIP 12, VIP 14 as soon as possible. Now, if you're like mid to high spender, I would say you should aim for VIP 14 because you'll be spending a lot of money anyways. Quite frankly speaking, on this account myself, I'm planning on investing all of my growth fund, which is crazy amount of gem. You can see that I have like 57,000 gems left until I hit VIP level, no, City Hall level 25. Like I'm planning on investing all of that into VIP points until I reach at least VIP 12. If you're a again, going back to the topic, if you're a mid to high spender, I would say reaching VIP 12 or 14 based on your budget level is ideal. Now, if you're a low spender, I would still recommend that you still try to get to VIP 10 because the difference between 10 and 9 is almost as big as, like, I don't know what to say. Like, up to VIP 9, you're basically not getting anything from this VIP exclusive check. Just think of it that way. And then as soon as you hit VIP 10 is when you start getting value from it. And then I personally regret gratefully, I greatly regret on my main account that I played the game for, I don't know, 1,150 days. Like, I personally regret not hitting VIP 14 as soon as possible, like when I started the game, because there's so much legendary commander sculptures that I missed while I was sitting at VIP 10, 12. Bottom line. Yeah, so yeah, again, 98%. I'm not exaggerating. 98% of your gems should be going into you reaching VIP 10, 12, 14, period. I don't care if you're a high spender. I don't care if you're a low spender. Just pick VIP 10 or 12 or 14 and then just that you're aiming for and then just hit those and spend 98% of your gems. Not lying. And you can see I already spent about 215,000 gems. I'm assuming I spent about like 880,000 of those from my gem, like personal gem that I actually acquired from, like the achievements and whatnot. But like, cause like other VIP, like other alliance, like chests would actually give you some VIP points here and there. Logging in every day will give you VIP points. So I think I probably, spend about 180,000 gems, but like try to spend 100% of your gems, if not just 98% of gems on VIP points until you hit VIP 10, 12. I would say 12 is a very good place for you to stop and then try to hit more progression with your account and then reach 14 later. But if this is one in your own, this is your only account and then you're a mid to high spender, I would say try to hit VIP 14 as soon as possible. Like I regret this. I'm telling you, I'm a content creator for Rise of Kingdoms who have played 1150 days. I rally lead for cavalry with possibly the best cavalry equipment set that I have possibly in the game. And I'm telling you, I regret not hitting VIP 14 very early on in the game. Now, with that said, a couple packages that I do recommend for people who are either low spender or mid spender. I think it's simple. For one, I would highly suggest that you actually get, let's see, from the supply depot, I would highly suggest that you get the 30-day gem supply every single week while you're playing. I know it's $10 per month, and then it may sound expensive, but it really isn't compared to anything that is here in the game. And it gives you, over the course of the month, it gives you 20,000 gems. This is just one of the best things that you can purchase. And as a matter of fact, you don't just get 19,500 gems, you get 2,200 gems on top of it. So you get what, 21,000, almost 22,000 gems. So that is crazy value. That is almost the value of $100 package in terms of gem value. So getting this, you don't have to worry about all these other things, but like you should get this 100%. Also at the same time, growth funds. Growth funds, when they say 2,000% value, they're not lying. You should, if you're spending on this game, before you even consider spending on anything else, even the 30-day gem supply, you should get growth fund, because this 2,000 gem value is not a lie. This is actually 2,000% gem value, because there's nothing else that you're getting from this, right? Most of the time when you see those like 600%, 700%, there's usually sometimes they're not really true, because they have all those other things that are converted into gem value, and then they're calculating into gem value and all that stuff, like VIP points. They're counting as if they're giving you like raw gems of that value and all that stuff, right? But like, there's no room for that here. This is all just gems. So when they say purchase to enjoy 2,000% gem value, they're not lying. There's no room for anything else to go in. This is true. You're getting 20 times the value that you're spending. Just get it. This is a no-brainer. And for those of you who are willing to spend beyond that, so that is what, $15 just per account on top of $10 every single month. If you're willing to spend a lot more than that, what I do suggest that you get is anything that is called a pop-up package. Now, pop-up package, I don't think I have anything that's like actually that I can show you here. But pop-up package actually pops up in a little kind of like window over here whenever you open up, whenever you get a new commander and whatnot. Whenever you reach certain technology, whenever you reach certain city hall level, there will be a pop-up that would pop up. So that's why they're called pop-up packages. And all those actually have really good values. And then they kind of pop up like this. This is not a pop-up package, but this is actually King's Coronation, which is very similar to pop-up package. But then again, this doesn't really have time limit. But yeah, anything that is going to appear to you as pop-up package will have like twice of the value that you'll get from anything else that on the shop, like this one right here. Like if you get a pop-up for unlocking a legendary blueprint for the first time, like there will be a package called, I think, Vanguard or something like that. Like the value of that Vanguard package will be like 20 times of this. And I'm not joking. Like the value of that Vanguard package is 20 times of this. So it is crazy. Sometimes you have to take a look at it. But then again, if it's something that you will need, I would say try to purchase all the pop-ups as much as you can, especially Riders of History. And you get Riders of History whenever you unlock a new legendary commander for the very first time. Let's say you got Charles Martel unlocked for the very first time, right? Then you actually get to, let's see if I can get one. No, I don't have any legendary. I don't have any golden chest key. But yeah, whenever you unlock a commander for the very first time, legendary commander for the very first time, there will be a pop-up that will be called Riders of History. I personally recommend, even for low spenders, to purchase every single one of those Writers of History Writers of History package, because those value those will give you 10 goldas, and 10 goldas value is about 20,000 gems, and that is like 20 times the gem value that you'll get from spending $5. So Writers of History is crazy, and I 100% recommend that you get it. Again, daily gems and growth funds are basically a must for those of you who are willing to spend on this game. And then Writers of History, if possible, as many of them as possible. And then any of the pop-up packages, especially that are related to City Hall level reaching, like I'll recommend that you buy almost all of those if possible. All right, so that's basically everything that I need you to know about gem management, efficient packages that you can purchase in the game. Now let's just go ahead and talk about which troop type to main in Rise of Kingdoms. In Rise of Kingdoms, there's 3 troop types that you use as main. Oh, actually, there's 4 troop types. But then again, let's just not talk about Siege. Siege is actually used for ranged commander, and they have different style of gameplay in Rise of Kingdoms. They can't rally or garrison. They can garrison technically, but then again, you don't really have an engineering rally commander in Rise of Kingdoms. So most of the time in the earlier part of the game, you use Siege to basically farm in the game. But so there's three different troop types that you should pay attention to in terms of maining when you first start off the game, and those are archers, infantry, and cavalry. And archers counter infantry, infantry counters cavalry, cavalry counters archers. And basically, they each have their own strength in the earlier part of the game, especially infantry is usually, let's just go ahead and pop infantry up right here. So infantry is usually tankier than other troop types in terms of like what they do. This is especially true because of all those commanders that are available for you earlier part of the game will give you extreme amount of tankiness on the field. And it actually has different mechanisms for you to actually punish those who attack infantry march. But then again, they're actually pretty slow. They're much slower than cavalry for sure. So they don't really get to choose where you fight as much as cavalry can. But infantry is tankier, and there's many different mechanisms that could actually allow infantry to be attacked, but then again, have a counter attack at the same time. One of the main infantry commander is called Charles Martel. You can see that he has his active skill will give you 1200 damage factor shield. Now, while you're shielded, you don't really take damage, as you would imagine from all the other games that does have this kind of shielding mechanism. And then with Charles Martel, you can also do a lot more counterattack damage. His force skill will actually give you 30%, up to 30% counterattack damage. So if you have a max Charles Martel, sometimes it actually hurts more for you to hit Charles Martel than leave it alone. So infantry's gameplay is more like that. You're very tanky, and it sometimes punishes you for trying to attack infantry with weaker forces, but they're slow. So you don't really get to actually, move around. They're not as mobile as other troop type at the end of the day, especially cavalry. Now, cavalry is the most mobile of them all. They have the base march speed that is highest. You can see that my march speed here is 90 plus 23, so that's 113. And then for infantry, like it is 15 less. And it's not even 100 actually, if you look at it. It's like 94. And then that advantage, that march speed advantage that cavalry has, will basically allow your cavalry to move a lot faster if you're using cavalry commanders. So having this march speed advantage allows cavalry, what it allows cavalry to do is it allows it to choose when to start and end fights. So if you're not feeling like your trade's going in your favor, you can actually just pull out your cavalry and then just run away from the fight. And for archers, you can see that my T4 archers right here. Let's just take a look at T3 archer because, archers, because, like we were just looking at T3 archers. So archers are slightly faster than infantry so that they can run away from infantry if infantry, or they can run away from cavalry because, they're a little bit faster than infantry, but they are slower than cavalry for sure. Archers in general are glass cannons, with massive damage if not targeted. So if you're not attacking an archer march that is doing massive AoE on the field, like there's something wrong with you. You gotta target and snipe archers as soon as possible. But if you are targeted by cavalry, especially, the damage that you take will just like erase your troop like very, very quickly. Because it's not really as tanky as infantry is. And it by default is countered by cavalry. And it does take more damage from cavalry too. So, and it doesn't have the march speed advantage against cavalry, so that will just run you down at the end of the day. But it does have the most damage output of all troop types in the game. So yeah, those are the differences between infantry, cavalry, and archers. And I would recommend that you choose the playstyle that fits you the best. But then again, if you have, let's say you just pulled gold chest and then got like 500 gold heads of 500 heads of Charles Martel, maybe it might be a good idea for you to start playing infantry, even though let's say you prefer cavalry or archer type mechanism for Rising Kingdom. So that's how the field war works. So infantry is tanky. It punishes the attackers, especially the cavalry. But then again, yeah, it is pretty slow. And then cavalry is mobile, so it can choose where you fight. If you're stronger than the infantry, let's say you fight against someone who's much lower in power, they can just still destroy the infantry commander that they have out just because you have a lot more stats to just destroy them. But yeah, so it is mobile, but then again, it cannot really go through, it cannot really run through infantry. So if you choose the wrong targets, you get punished pretty heavily. And then archers are generally going to do as much damage and like the most amount of damage on the field. But then again, they're glass cannons, and then they'll just get destroyed by cavalry. Found left out alone. So that's basically the goods and bads of each troop type. You can choose which one you want to play. In terms of garrison and rally, like once you enter Season of Conquest, it will just be different by meta. Because whenever you release a new commander, they tend to be OP in Rise of Kingdoms. So the meta of rally and garrison does change quite significantly here and there. But then again, for KvK 1 and KvK 2, garrisons generally infantry, and then archer and cavalries are rallies. So whenever you're actually defending something like this, where it's like alliance flag, let's say you have infantry commander defending it, there will be people who would rally up against this flag right here that would most likely use archer or cavalry. So yeah, just that's basically the general rule of thumb for KvK 1 and 2. Whew. Yeah, so now we just talked about your main troop type. Let's say you just chose main troop, and then now you're wondering, hey, like, what do I need to build? So now you chose your main troop type. Let's just talk about which commanders that you can use on Rise of Kingdoms. But first, before I go into commanders, I just want to put a basic rule of thumb for KvK 1 or 2. And unless you're a mega whale, which at that point, like, let's say you have like Elon Musk kind of money, you're not gonna care how much gold has that you're putting in all your like legendary commanders. Eventually, you will just have all of them expertise because you have so much money. But unless you are a mega whale, you should consider massing 2 legendary commanders before KvK 3, aside from Minamoto and Ethelflaed. And here's why. This is because As you enter KvK 3, you get 2 chances, and only 2 chances for you to transfer your commander's level and skill upgrades to meta commanders that are released after KvK 3 called Season of Conquest, with the exception of Minamoto and Ethelflaed again. The reason why they're exception, because for one, Ethelflaed there's no way for you to actually get them, or you can't really even invest gold heads towards her, because you can get her heads from clearing campaigns, right? And as you can see, like if you clear campaigns every single day, you'll get enough of those medals, and then you'll be able to just purchase Ethelflaed heads from the expedition shop. So it will be unfair for you to actually expertise Ethelflaed through this way, and then exchange it for for a commander who other people have spent like $500, $600, $700 on it. So Ethelflaed is not possible. Minamoto, same deal. The only way for you to actually get in Minamoto, you can actually put gold heads into him, I think. But then again, you can just easily expertise Minamoto from this exclusive exclusive shop over here. You can see I bought some Minamoto heads, but then again, I didn't buy all of them. But yeah, this is much easier and cheaper than you basically getting all the other commander. Let's say gold key commander, for example. Oh, you can't put gold heads into Minamoto, right? So all these commanders like meta and stuff, you actually have to get them through the gold keys, or spending your gold heads that you actually get, the legendary commander sculptures that you get. So it will be unfair for you to actually convert Minamoto and Ethelflaed. That's why you can't. But so yeah, with the exception of Minamoto and Ethelflaed, you should only work on 2 of those commanders, so that you can actually eventually move those 2 commanders over exactly to KvK Season of Conquest commanders. Those commanders are later version commanders that are much more powerful than any of the KvK 1 and KvK 2 commanders. And then, if you're listening to this video right now, most likely you don't have to worry about them for another year. But then again, those commanders are going to be the meta commanders that you have access to as you enter KvK 3. And as a matter of fact, during this pre-KvK period, I would suggest that you either save all your gold heads, or work on only one legendary commander at 5111, unless you're a whale. The reason for this is simple. Let's just go ahead and move over to my different account here, my main account. The reason for this is simple, is because of a commander called YSG, or Isongge. And let's just see where Isongge is. So Isongge, or YSG, whatever you like to call it, the proper way for you to call this guy is Isongge. Isongge is a commander that becomes available to you through a Wheel of Fortune event in Rise of Kingdoms as you enter the very first battle in your KvK Season 1, Kingdom versus Kingdom Season 1. So for me, I think my first Isongge wheel appeared the day before I entered my very first fight in my first KvK, and I instantly maxed it. If you can see that I got 16 heads, and I was like, no, screw it, I'm just gonna gold head him, right? So, and this commander right here, Isongge, is the god of pre-Season of Conquest gameplay. He does the most amount of damage. He doesn't really have a troop type that he will have to main. There's this one skill that procs at 10% chance whenever you're doing basic attack, and then one part of it, only half of this skill, is getting impacted by the troop type, which is the archer troop type. So you can put Isongge, YSG behind any commander in Rise of Kingdoms for KvK 1 and 2, and they would just perform phenomenal. And hence, he was, and he is, the god of pre-Season of Conquest. They'll become available for you in KvK Season 1. And that's why you should not waste any of your gold heads as much as possible and then try to expertise 이성계. Expertise meaning that you have to max out all of your skills so that you get this skill, the last slot skill, fifth slot skill, which is basically the expertise skill. Because the difference between an expertise 이성계 and non-expertise 이성계 is a night and day. It not only does extra damage for your active skill, but then again, it also does expand out the area of which that the skill does the damage, like significantly. And this becomes a circular AoE instead of the conic AoE. So yeah, 이성계. Do 5111 at max for any of the legendary commanders that you have in KvK 1 or pre-KvK season, and then expertise 이성계, and then use the remaining gold test into that one commander that you have decided to work on for pre-KvK, pre-season conquest, pre-KvK 3, like KvK 1 and KvK 2. Got it? This is very, very important part of the game, so I have talked about it for a while, but I hope you guys understand how powerful, how important this is. Again, do not work on more than 2 different commanders in pre-KvK season, and just work on one commander, one legendary commander, because you're gonna get YSG 이성계, and then you're gonna put everything that you have on maximizing this commander for your KvK, for the best result, best fighting power in KvK 1. And you'll pair this commander with whatever you have. So you only have one other commander that you should be working on, whether that is Metman, that will do double AoE with 이성계, or whether that is like Minamoto. If you have Minamoto, you don't really have to worry about it because like you buy Minamoto, like I said before. So if you have Minamoto, just run Minamoto YSG and you'll be done. And then let's say you have like, let's say your infantry main, then you can just work on Charles Mantel. And then just have Charles Mantel 5111, and do not invest any legendary commander sculptures into him until you expertise YSG. And then you can invest in Charles Mantel if you want. If you don't, you can actually invest in other commanders. Who knows? But yeah, that is my recommendation for you in terms of commanders. Now, that I just needed to kind of clear out. So that is like everything that you need to know about the commander swap that does happen in KvK 3, and what you need to do, unless you're a mega whale, like even high spender, even mid to high spenders, like in pre-KvK season, do not work on multiple commanders, multiple legendary commander. Work on one commander for your gold test that can be paired up with YSG 이성계 eventually. So that is my recommendation. Now, let's start off from epic commanders. So there are a couple epic commanders that are in Rise of Kingdoms that you should invest in regardless of your troop type. And those are Lohar, Sun Tzu, and Gathering Commanders. Now, let's start from Sun Tzu, right? Sun Tzu, the reason why this commander is so important is simple. Although Sun Tzu is an infantry commander, you can see that he is classified as an infantry commander. Most of his skill set, kind of like YSG 이성계, most of his skill set is not exclusive to you being infantry commander. Like this skill right here doesn't really say anything about infantry. This skill right here doesn't really say anything about infantry. This skill actually has one part of it that basically says something about infantry, which is going to give you 10% health, which is not nothing, but it has the more important part of the skill. This commander's troop takes 10% less damage, still viable for you, even if you're not using infantry commander. So Sun Tzu, let's say you wanted to use YSG Sun Tzu and you wanted to use that as archer commander. That is very possible because of how powerful Sun Tzu is. And the reason why Sun Tzu is so strong is simple. For one, he has 20% skill damage bonus. You don't really have this in pre-KvK stage or even like KvK 1 that much. And on top of that, his expertise skill, which is also the expertise, which is also the active skill, will deal 800 damage vector to 5 target, and then it will do additional 200 damage vector to each of those targets for 1 second. And also at the same time, for each enemy hit, this will actually give you 50 rage per enemy hit. Now, why this skill is so important is simple. It will do 1000 damage factor to 5 targets. So this is actually same as 5000. This has a maximum damage potential of 5000 damage factor. And on top of that, it will give you extra rage, which will allow your skill cycle to go faster. And also at the same time, this skill right here does not get reduced by number of targets that you hit. So maximum number of targets that you hit, which is 5 targets, the better the damage is. Whereas if you look at other commanders that are legendary that have any sort of AoE skills, like for example, let's just take a look at YSG because we're just taking a look at him right now. YSG skill does 1700 damage vector, but then again, each additional target after the first reduces this target for each and every one of those damage by 15%. So in theory, if you hit 5 targets with YSG's active skill, which is going to reduce this damage down to what, like 680? That is a lot less than what Sun Tzu does per each target. Now, granted that YSG has this other skill that will give you 50% extra skill damage, which will, kind of compensate for the damage output that you get, but you get the gist, right? So Sun Tzu is really, really powerful, regardless of what type of troop type that you use. Heck, like even if you're not using him on the field, you can just slap it on your garrison because he has a lot of garrison damage taken reduction here, and then you have 7% less damage taken from garrison too. So these two combined will actually give you 17% damage taken reduction. That is huge. On top of that, you do a massive AoE damage. So Sun Tzu, regardless of which troop type that you main, you should still consider maximizing. And it's a lot easier for you to maximize Sun Tzu in the early game because you'll be choosing China as your starting civilization. And then when you choose China as a starting civilization, you get a lot more Sun Tzu sculptures from events and whatnot. Now, Lohar is a very important commander, regardless of your troop type that you should be maxing. Is because of two skills. For one, the skill number 3. Both primary and secondary commander of this commander troop gain 70% more EXP from defeating barbarians. Now, if you have watched my previous guides for Rising Kingdom, beginner's guide, let's say you watched that, you should understand that getting the most amount of experience on the field by killing barbarians and getting the gems, all the other benefits that you get from killing barbarians earlier on is very, very important. Now, getting 70% extra EXP from those are huge, especially let's say whenever you're doing Holy Site Guardians. I don't know if any of them spawn. So whenever there is a Holy Site like this, right? There will be always a Guardian that spawns in every 12 hours. And those give you tremendously more, a crazy amount of EXP. And then getting 70% extra of that is just crazy. So having Lohar expertise, I think, is really recommended from me. I would say even getting the 3rd skill max is all you need. So yeah, you should get Lohar and then try to maximize at least the EXP up skill. And then his expertise will also give you that 2000 damage factor healing whenever you kill a barbarian. So regardless of how weak your Lohar's equipment is, you always kind of maintain that sustainability on the field while you're killing a lot of barbs. So that's my suggestion. And then all the gathering commanders on epic commanders. The reason why I do suggest them is simple. Where's gathering? Actually, let's go ahead and move back to my restart account and then take a look at my gathering commanders. Because I have the talent set up for those. The reason why gathering commanders are simple, I think they're kind of self-explanatory, but then again, gathering commanders are really, really efficient. And those are so having enough gathering stuff is just like having more oil for your kingdom. Like you need oil, you need like to power up your kingdom at the end of the day, right? And then those resources are basically, corn, wood, stone, and gold. Those are called resources. Those will help you power up your kingdom. Like if you don't have resources, you can't really do anything in the game. You can't really research. You can't like I am right now. I can't really upgrade my city hall because I'm lacking resources. So having enough resources are crucial in the game. And any gathering commanders. These are not actually just exclusive to uh like epic commanders, but any gathering commanders. I think it's best that you actually level them up to a certain degree for you to actually maximize your gathering output at the end of the day. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm telling you to level up, use gold tests on Sunduck, Cleopatra, and then Ishida. Just you'll be able to get more gold tests for the legendary sculptures for these guys exclusively a lot easier because they're gathering commanders, so don't worry too much about them. Whenever you have a chance, just go ahead and level them up, and then you're fine. Try to hit the ones that does give you a little bit more gathering speed bonus because those will help you with your efficiency. And for those other gathering commanders, I would say you either level 18 it, which means that on the talent tree you can actually maximize all the gold gathering speed of gold, stone, food, and wood. Or you can actually hit level 27, which will actually let you hit up to all the way here, which will give you the more the better. 6% extra resources after you complete your node. Now, I know that EXP is very important in the earlier part of the game, so now a lot of people are not going to be able to get this. But then again, if you have a chance, getting that extra 6% resource does help a lot eventually over the period of time. And then for this, when you do level up, when you want to level up, like the maximum level that you should be hitting for a gatherer should be 37, where you'll be able to get maximum gathering speed from hitting all points into this. You can see that I only have 1 point into this superior tools, which is only giving me 5% universal gathering speed. But then again, once I hit this to level 5, this will give me another 25% gathering speed at the end of the day. So yeah, 37, nothing more. Even on my main, I don't think my gathering commanders are beyond 37. So yeah, hit 37 at max. If not, 18 is a very good place for you to stop. 27 is a very good place for you to stop. But yeah, so those are the epic commanders and gathering commanders that I do suggest that you actually get going. But then again, let's just go ahead and jump right into a spreadsheet and talk about legendary commanders right here. So this is a spreadsheet that I made a while back to give you like the best commander pairing that you can use on the field, on the garrison, on the rally for each troop type that are possible in pre-KvK stage. Now, later down the road, I'll probably do another revamp of KvK1 and KvK2 because, I think if those guys do well, then I think it will be really helpful for you to all know and understand, what might be the best way for you to go through the KvK1 and KvK2 most efficiently at the end of the day. So, yeah. This is a spreadsheet that I made in the past. As you can see, just to kind of give you each element of this spreadsheet more in detail, you can see the commander pairing that I have here. You can see the name of those commanders. Charles Mattel, Sun Tzu is basically what this is. And then their accessibility. If they're epic, they're really, really good with accessibility. If they're one of those commanders that appear on the gold keys, but then again, they also appear in My Discovery, the accessibility would be better. If they're purchasable, like Minamoto, is much, much easier. So that's what accessibility means. If it's double epic commanders like this one right here, Bjorn and Sun Tzu, like that will give you higher accessibility. If they're both gold key commanders, then they will give you lower accessibility and all that stuff. But the reason why this is B plus instead of like D over here is because you can get Charles Mattel from My Discovery event. So yeah, so that's what accessibility means. Buffs just means the total amount of buff that you can get from these pairings. And then other buffs are anything beyond attack, defense, health, like march speed, damage taken, and whatnot. And the relative buff that will actually, this is actually any buff on the skills that would actually amplify the damage factor over here. And then the skill damage factor is based on 10-second skill cycle. So every 10-second turn, your expected damage output by using that commanded pairing at the end of the day. And also at the same time, this talks about one target. This talks about rally target. The reason why one and rally target is different is because some of them are not relevant. For example, if you're talking about Minamoto Frederick, Frederick has unit capacity increase of 15%, which does not apply if you're being a rally lead. So that 15% is actually lower than hitting one target. So because of those exceptions, I have the one target minimum damage factor and the rally factor, rally specific damage factor at the end of the day. And then this is skill damage factor for hitting 2 target, 3 target, 4 target based on your like the AoE type. If you're hitting just one target, that's fine. But then again, if you're using a skill that is going out in a fan shape, then in average, I'm expecting that you're hitting 2 targets. If you're going in a half circle, like Ethelflaed, then I'm expecting that you hit 3 targets in average. And then if you're doing circular AoE, which is like YSG, I'm assuming that you're hitting 4 targets, right? And then this is a maximum amount of damage that you can possibly do. For example, Sun Tzu does damage to 2 different units because he does fan shape based on this realistic scenario. But then again, if it does hit 5 targets, then the maximum damage that you can get is gonna get a lot higher. It's basically what this means. Hopefully, this is not too confusing. I'm not gonna go over it too much in detail of this, but I'll basically go over it though. In this sheet is for each troop type, infantry, cavalry, and archer, what I'll recommend that you use for your KvK pre-KvK stage, because there will be fights in pre-KvK stage more often than not, because you're going to be fighting for that kingship of that kingdom, and during that time you're not going to have access to YSG and all the other commanders that I am suggesting you to save up for. So in those cases, you have to be sometimes forced into using the commanders that are only available to you in pre-KvK stage, and that's what this is actually for. Now let's just first talk about infantry because they're in the top 3. These are the only combination that I would really recommend that you consider using, or like you should be using in pre-KvK stage, and those are Charles Martel and Sun Tzu. If you don't have Charles Martel 5-1-1 or better, I would suggest that you use Bjorn and Sun Tzu. And then if you have Sun Tzu used elsewhere, or you don't really want to use Sun Tzu, or you're like a mega whale who can actually expertise 2 different commanders in pre-KvK stage, you can still use Mehmet and YSG, Charles Martel and Mehmet. And those 3 are the only things that I would actually suggest that you ever consider using. And among those, I will say Charles Martel Sun Tzu is the #1 pick that I will actually suggest you. For a simple reason. For one, it will give you the 20% extra movement speed, which will actually help you move faster on the field, unlike the next best option, which is a Bjorn and Sun Tzu, which doesn't have that march speed. And also at the same time, Charles Martel gives you that extra shielding effect that will help you sustain a lot longer in the game. And on top of that, he will also have a counterattack damage buff, which will punish the attacker to this march. And also at the same time, because Charles Martel's active skill gives you extra damage buff, it would actually amplify the Sun Tzu's damage output to the maximum. So in case you do hit 5 targets in a fan shape AoE in a murder ball, for example, it has the potential to do the most amount of damage among all the other combos that you can possibly think of in pre-KvK stage, despite having an epic commander in the mix. This is crazy. So you can use Charles Martel Sun Tzu on the field. You can use it for Garrison, which is actually probably the best garrison that you can possibly imagine for pre-KvK stage without YSG, 이성계. So yeah, that's why you can see the final evaluation of here. Like, I gave this the best field troop and then the garrison troop type that you can possibly use in Rise of Kingdoms for pre-KvK stage. So yeah, just I would say use Charge Meta Sun Tzu if you're an infantry main in pre-KvK stage. If you want to save up the gold test for YSG, and if you don't have Charge Metal, for example, you got really unlucky with all the other things. You don't have Charge Metal, you only have like one Charge Metal, you don't want to invest in it. You can use Bjorn Sun Tzu, and it would do way better than you might think. Especially if you have both of them expertise. Oh my god. This March will outperform 80% of the legendary commander pairing that you see here. Like, this commander pairing is crazy. You can see that one target is actually stronger than Charles Mattel Sun Tzu. And then it still has that damage buff. Like, damage output and potential of Sun Tzu too. So yeah, Bjorn Sun Tzu is absolutely great. If you're considering not maining infantry, those people who are like I don't really want to invest in an infantry legendary commander, but I still want to make an infantry march. Bjorn Sun Tzu, #1 recommendation, because you don't have to put in any gold heads into any of the infantry commanders. But then again, you still have a very, very strong and very, very meta commander pairing for pre-KvK stage. Like Bjorn Sun Tzu, Bjorn Sun Tzu, Bjorn Sun Tzu. If you doubt me, try it out on Sunset Canyon. Like, they do exceptionally well. So yeah, Bjorn Sun Tzu is what I recommend. Charles Mattel, like, unless you have both of the expertise, it doesn't really matter. And even if you do, like, I think Charles Mattel Sun Tzu is a better pairing, unless you're hitting like two targets, 3 targets. Then you might actually be better there. But I would say Charles Mattel Sun Tzu is better. Now, if you're maining cavalry, in cavalry, there's different ways that you can actually use cavalry. And for one, you can expertise Minamoto from purchasing from the shop. And that's honestly, if you're a cavalry main, if you don't have Minamoto, I would really not be a cavalry main for pre-KvK stage, to be really honest with you. And what I recommend for you, if you want to run one march on the field, you either run Minamoto Baibars or Minamoto Amendment. You can run Expertise Minamoto with 5111 or 5511 Mehmet, and that would run great. You can see that the maximum damage output is really, really high. The realistic damage output for that pairing is really, really high. And the maximum damage output is for both of them is really, really high. Baibars is a cheap, great option for you to focus on until you get YSG as well. That way, you don't waste any legendary sculpture on that march. And these two will just destroy on the field. If you're fighting on the field as well. I must mention that there is this combo called Minamoto Frederick that can be a monster in a rally. But having a 5111 Frederick without investing any gold heads is just nuts. You have to be really, really lucky. You have to pull Frederick like 7 times from gold chests. Like, I don't think that's possible. And I do not recommend, and let me repeat again, I do not recommend that you invest any gold heads into Frederick ever. But for those of you who are mega whales, Minamoto Frederick is actually a great option for rally if you're considering rallying with cavalry. Minamoto CC is the more common one because of how much easier it is for you to get Minamoto KvK. KvK is acquirable through daily bundles in the beginning part of the game. You can even get him through Card Kings. You can get him through many different means. Honestly, like, if you're in one of the new um beginner format gameplay, KvK, you can actually get him with like the featured stuff of the game, where you can get KvK a lot higher chance than other gold key commanders. So yeah, Most people who are rallying actually does run Minamoto KvK just because of how much damage that it does as a pair and how much more accessible KvK is compared to other rally options like Metmed or Frederick. So yeah, that is a great option for you to rally and garrison, rally at the end of the day. All right, so that's cavalry. Again, having Minamoto is a prerequisite. If you don't want to get Minamoto, if you don't want to invest in Minamoto, even 5111, like don't do cavalry because yeah, Minamoto does extremely well in pre-KvK stage, but it does fall off a little bit, a lot in season of conquest. So if you feel like investing in Minamoto is a waste, I would just say not. Don't invest in Minamoto. All right, if you're archers, this is a little tricky because for one, Tutmos, which is gonna be basically the Minamoto of archers, because he's the only commander that can do AoE damage in archers, and then archers thrive off of AoE damage. Tutmos is the gold key commander. You cannot get Tutmos anywhere else. So if you want to main archers and you want to fight in pre-KvK stage, having Tutmos is almost a must at the end of the day. Now, with that said, Tutmos does have a lot of his skills that do really well. So if you're thinking about investing your gold test into some commander before KvK Season 3, you know, Tutmos might not be the worst decision for you at the end of the day. And as a matter of fact, on my restart account, I'm waiting for me to actually get more Tutmos heads or, you know, like get some archer equipments pop up during the equipment crystal keys so that I can actually invest in archers. I'm thinking about doing archer main. And once I'm done with Sun Tzu, I'm gonna actually try to work on my Kusunoki so that even if I don't get enough Tutmos sculptures at the end of the day, I can either use Tutmos as 5111 or have expertise Kusunogi paired with YSG for my very first KvK. It's my current plan. But yeah, so Tutmos Kusunogi. Tutmos is like the core of pre-KvK stage archer. You can get Elcid from, I think, Midas Governor event. So if you want to use Elcid, that is also possible. But Tutmos is going to be the #1 priority for you. If you have Tutmos, though, you have many different options. Tutmos Kusunogi is probably the most accessible one of them all, which will have a decent amount of AoE damage. I mean, and the decent amount of maximum damage that you can possibly do. Tutmos Metmed is a good option, but then again, it is very inaccessible because both of them are gold key commanders, and you'll have to run them both like 5111 without possibly having gold keys. Gold has invested on either of them because you have to replace one of them with YSG at the end of the day. So yeah, Tutmos Metmed, not too sure, but you know, try to get Tutmos. I think they give you a Tutmos for free when you log in nowadays, so that's good. But having him 511 is a challenge. But if you want to invest in one troop type, if you want to make that pairing with YSG Tutmos into the pairing that you transfer over to KvK Season 3 and onward, that might not be a terrible option for you. And for all players, all troop type players, having 5111 Metmed will be okay because Metmed does a lot of AoE damage. He does have skill damage buff like what Sun Tzu did. So it is a good AoE DPS skill commander with skill damage buff, high enough skill damage buff. But anything beyond 5111 or 5511 is not recommended. Just have yourself maximize that skill damage bonus if you want to really use him. But yeah, so that's what I recommend for you because you need to invest in YSG. And if you want to actually if you want to main archer, one other strategy you can do is actually have YSG primary and then use Metmed secondary. Technically speaking, 5511 MetMed combined with YSG might actually do better than Sun Tzu with YSG, or yeah, Sun Tzu with YSG. So it is your choice. I think, yeah, having a MetMed kind of worked on is not a terrible idea at the end of the day. All right, so that's basically it in terms of what my suggestions are in terms of every single tip that I can think of for you in pre-KvK stage, as well as all the commander different pairings that I would recommend for you based on the troop type of your choice that you're mating. And I hope this was really helpful for you. For those of you who did find this video helpful, please go ahead and drop a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions about it, feel free to join the Discord from the link down below and ask me away, because I'm always available on that Discord channel. And also at the same time, please watch the complete beginner guide that I actually posted on the link down below as well before you watch this video. It will make a lot of sense that you watch that before this. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this videos. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. All right, peace.